Well, the real stuff starts, right? We come back to practice Thursday. You know, two things that I thought offensively tonight early, I thought we were so rushed. And I think it's because Rex and TJ in new roles played so fast the first two exhibition games. I thought they were a little calmer offensively to start the game, and I thought that helped us be a little more efficient. And the one thing I love about our group is we really do talk on defense. We do communicate. So, you know, it's time to play for real, and we're certainly challenging ourselves with a hard game on Saturday right out of the gate.
You said the other night about you don't care whether or not Rex scores because he does so many other things for it. What's allowed him to really embrace that role and expand and say, I'm more than just a guy that's going to defend. I'm going to do a little of everything.
Yeah, I think, you know, we talked all summer that he's going to have to do that for us. And I thought tonight he got some mid-range stuff and some things at the bucket, and he got fouled to get started. You know, he didn't start shooting three-point shots. You know, when he can get some stuff in the paint, when he can get to the bucket and get fouled, then I think his three-point shooting is better instead of maybe hunting or really, you know, relying on a three-point shot early. But the guy does a little bit of everything. He's involved with every play on the defensive end. I thought he made, again, some great passes tonight as well. And he's one of those guys, it's like a Vastoria, it's hard to have him out of the game. You know, he just makes things happen on both ends of the floor for us.
That rotation kind of set right now with the way you're moving guys in and out?
Yeah, tonight I was trying to get into, you know, where we come with Elijah and DJ, and then, you know, tonight, instead of going to another big, come back with Marty, you know, get some reps there. I was impressed with how Johnny played. I thought Johnny is calming down a little bit. He didn't get to play in the first exhibition, and, you know, he's a guy that we got to keep, you know, he's on my mind. But a DJ Harvey, obviously, as we're seeing, there's a lot to work with there. I mean, he can come off and score for us and do some things. So, you know, I was trying, you know, it was a little shorter tonight because you're trying to get ready for how you're going to substitute on Saturday.
You can tell watching Harvey how good he can be. Where do you think he is in his progression now, and what are you expecting, say, between now and the start of the season?
I think, you know, in the last week, he has gotten, you know, he seems to be more comfortable and more sure of himself. You know, he's making drives and making plays and not thinking too much. You know, there's still days where it's one step forward and two steps back. And I've got to always remind myself, he's the only freshman. So he really does stand out. And then I get a little bit frustrated, and I got to catch myself and say, wait a minute, he is the only rookie out there. And, you know, kind of be patient with him and teach him and help him and challenge him. But you know, I even think he could eventually be a little bit of a spot-up shooter for us. You know, he didn't make threes, but he's got a great stroke. And when he gets his feet together, he's had days where he's made 4 or 5 threes in practice. But every shot's got to be important to him. He's a typical young guy. His feet are different sometimes when he catches it. But as far as the physicality of getting to the bucket or getting to 15 feet and rising up and making a jump shot, there's not a lot of guys that can do that, and he does that for us.
Coach, defensively, you had 8 steals, 6 blocks. How do you carry that?
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, obviously we're playing a team a lot smaller. One of the things that I've liked about this group is even when we play against ourselves, you know, we're getting deflections. You know, a Rex, TJ, Bonzi, you know, those guys, you know, Matty, but, you know, they get their hands on stuff. And so I think one of the things that we can do is get some steals and have some numbers advantage offensive stuff where we score in transition more off of our defense. You know, that takes a little pressure off your three-point shooting. So if some of our scoring is coming that way and then getting to the line a lot because we drive it, you know, maybe you're making up for not making a lot of threes consistently night to night.
How much of these exhibitions have just been making sure you guys are confident that you have other things besides a three-point shot?
Yeah,
you know,
that's a great point.
Other ways you can go.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think I've tried to sell them on that in practice too, you know, when we look at our stats. But, you know, I did tell them after the last game, I said, you know, we haven't made many threes, but we're getting fouled. We're getting to the foul line. I think we had 14 free throw attempts in the first half. And we've had some deflections and some play. I think one of the things you got to work on with this team more than I've had with other teams is numbers advantage decisions with the ball. Like, we've always prided ourselves, we've been very efficient in the half court, making good decisions. But now, if you're going to get a couple 3-on-2s, 5-on-4s that are coming up on you, we got to get a great shot every time. In other words, don't experiment with a lob because it's a numbers advantage and the crowd's talking you into it. Like, we got to get a good shot on those numbers advantage or get fouled. And I think we've got to drill that and talk about that every day.
Oh, anxious, curious, eager are you to see TJ in more of a lead-ish role once, you know, this season gets going for real?
You're talking TJ
Gibbs, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's, you know, it's funny with our efficiency points, you know, he is right behind Bonze through 20 practices, you know, and which is pretty powerful. And so he's just going to get better and better. I mean, the three-point shot will be a weapon for us. You know, he's making plays, and we want him to drive it. We want to keep attacking, you know, and then defensively, you know, like Rex, when those two guys on the floor extended minutes, they really get their hands on stuff, and they work so hard defensively. But I think he could really emerge. You know, he and Rex could really emerge as really very good college guards as they get more comfortable.
Mike, Austin only 3 minutes tonight. Can you talk about his role possibly in the DePaul game?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's healthy finally. This was, you know, he's finally practiced a couple days. We're going slow with him. I just wanted to get him in there a little bit. He'll be available for DePaul, but, you know, he has not had the practice reps that Elijah and Johnny have had. So my feeling is I don't know how much we can really rely on him Saturday. Not to say we wouldn't use him and he'll be ready, but I think, you know, Elijah's going to stay in that role of the first big sub. But we're going to need Austin long term. And I think what he needs to do is put a couple days in a row of practice together. That's the next step for him physically.
What do you expect DePaul to do well on Saturday?
You know, there's a lot of new faces, and I'm trying to get a grip looking at the box score, and then we're going to watch some tape. They had lost 10 Big East games in a row last year. Then they beat Georgetown at the end of the year. Some of the same personnel played very well in that game, but they're different. You know, they're different. And you know, Dave Lato has always been a defensive and rebounding guy. He comes from that UConn, you know, pounding you on the backboard and guarding the heck out of you. I think we could see some full court pressure, physically driving you. But you're in a little bit of a disadvantage because, you know, we're not really able to get a feel for who they are. My best feel has been, as I'm sure Dave has been, you know, these pro guys come around to your practices, and they've always been at Michigan State the day before, and I always want to talk to them. You know, certainly I'd like to sell Bonzi and everything, but I'm picking their brain about who we're playing. Like, there's a guy, as the guy was at Michigan, so tell me, we got a shot? Should I even go up there? And, you know, what do you think? You know, I'm always picking these guys' brains, you know, and I'm sure every other coach is getting info, you know, because these guys are kind of like scouts now in the preseason. So there's a little bit of an unknown with that, you know, as far as our prep and what are they really going to do offensively. We'll look at some stuff that they did last year, but you know, it's going to be a charged atmosphere, and can we stay efficient and be who we are for 40 minutes? That's always been a great trait of ours, especially with a group like this who's done it before. Can we stay in character for 40? You know, we've done that better than a lot of teams that have been more talented or more athletic, or have been, you know, have been charged up playing at home or whatever. I'm interested to see this group do it right away out of the gate. And it starts a stretch of 6 games in 11 days. So we have got a lot coming at us, but it's time. It's really time to do it.
How odd is this situation where, okay, you're playing an opponent you really haven't played in a while, open on the road and open in a building you've never been in. This is a situation you've never been in.
No, we've never had. You know, it was, you know, I thought when I heard they were doing the building, and Jeannie, their AD, and I are very close from the old Big East days, and I just thought it was fitting, you know, given the DePaul Notre Dame history, we don't see each other anymore in the Big East. So I said we should open that building. We should go over and play there, and you know, but there's a lot of newness here, and there's a lot. So I'm very interested to see who we are, you know, by 6 or 7 o'clock on Saturday night. But my feeling is with this older group, to throw us right in there and let's see what we got.
So if you're coming off 15 and 17, you're not going on the road the first game.
Absolutely not. You know, absolutely not. It's you know, you've got a senior class that's pretty good, and let's go challenge them. I did hear, Alan told me that it's great to hear that Tim Priester, thanks for the info, a lot of you guys texted me, is doing good and going to get fixed up, and that's great news. See you guys Saturday?
Tomorrow.